69. Read Nuclear War, a Scenario by Annie Jacobsen. Her details are not quite as horrible as my paraphrasing of Hiroshima Stories by John Hershey. She just describes what thousands of times more powerful hydrogen bombs have planned for you anywhere on Earth. Today on NPR, a raft of world-class experts put their heads together on the doomsday clock's 90 seconds until midnight. They terrified us with exploding, worsening trends from deadly history and fatal future, yet only one had 2 words of utterly undefined solution. Stephen Young, Senior Washington Representative for the Global Security Program of the Union of Concerned Scientists, followed up his devastating prediction of World War III soon, with few or zero survivors, by asserting that we'll only prevent it if we do something. Billions agree, but like him, can't imagine what. Oh well, never mind. Also interviewed was the Honorable Madeleine Creedon, who served as Principal Deputy Administrator of the U.S. National Security Administration from 2014 to 2017. She claimed, against all available facts, that nuclear weapons, in a world of ever-skyrocketing commercial militarism, deterred or terrified other deployers from even apparently impending use. Also in the discussion, at least an educated, uncorrupted realist, was Sarah Scoles, a freelance science journalist and author of Countdown, The Blinding Future of Nuclear Weapons. Mr. Young informed us of Washington future plans to spend trillions, 7% of our national budget decades ahead, to replace most every missile, bomb, and nuclear submarine. Weaponeer contracts already written. Keep the bribes and appropriations coming. Government nuclear weapon piler Madeleine Creedon's teaching came early in the hour. Aging weapons have become insufficiently dependable, lethal, and terrifying. Russia and China are also ever improving their bomber, missile, submarine triads. Both have entirely halted arms control negotiations and treaty adherence. Massive nuclear deterrent upgrade is our only option. What she failed to mention has been all nuclear power's true and total option of obeying, no longer abrogating, their own sworn nuclear non-proliferation treaty order to work worldwide until achieved universal nuclear and conventional disarmament. We lied. We break the law. Don't mention it. Get over it. Disagreement flared between the lover and hater of nuclear arsenals. Both acknowledged Vladimir Putin's endless threats to nuclear destroy Ukraine if the U.S. armed up President Zelensky to kick Russian ass. Ms. Creedon stuck in 1950s theory that American promise to hydrogen bomb Russia gone if they blitzkrieged Western Europe with their millions of tanks and troops advantage. Since they didn't, obviously nuclear deterrence will freeze forever any great powers' armies and missiles. So all we need do is promise all 3,700 of our bombs to exterminate Russia if Vlad blows a single mushroom cloud over Ukraine. "Excuse me," argued Mr. Young. "Vlad knows you're lying, bluffing, because his second strike wastes all 50 American states. Ukraine's already dead, and we're going to then unnecessarily commit world holocaust and suicide to enjoy about 8 minutes of spite before Russian Atlantic submarine-launched H-bombs destroy every idiot DC politician, not to mention all humanity? We have a conventional counterattack plan for Russian tactical nuclear attack on Ukraine. So the U.S. military and government must rule out nuclear launch against Russia in that instance. Unfortunately, the concerned scientist with no disarmament proposal never did his homework on nuclear danger to Ukraine, to the point that he knew that most of Russian media, government, and all military leaders are determined to nuclear wipe Ukraine off the map the moment Russia's front lines crumble eastward. Ms. Creedon evidenced about 1,000th of his knowledge or honesty by stating that the genius of massive nuclear holocaust threat was to terrify would-be little country nuclear destroyers out of dropping the first bomb. The badass Putin would surely believe that America would destroy itself to avenge one non-NATO nation we have no obligation to defend at all. She knows this is garbage that only the American people, after hundreds of repetitions, will buy. Also stupid enough to hand over another $3 trillion of our taxes for our own nuclear destruction. Neither the warrior or the peace queer had any idea what our post-Ukraine nuking NATO tank assault on Moscow would elicit, other than very possible and supposedly desirable smashing of Putin's government. Already due his own KGB assassination for any devastating defeat, Putin would be certain to go underground and gone from Moscow to direct ICBM destruction of all NATO nations, especially America. Our second strike would defang our own tank assault, which would otherwise kill him if his KGB did not first. American tank Russia assault ends the world. In Thinking the Unthinkable, nuclear war lover Herman Kahn presented hundreds of scenarios for limited nuclear war American victory that 1,000 of every 1,000 uncorrupted, non-government experts revealed would all blow every single American and Russian nuclear weapon in unstoppable chain reaction. I also analyze most likely scenarios, just without the lying, fantasy, or ignorance. Government military power corrupts absolutely, not to mention making its practitioners dumber than rocks. They do develop a single genius, spending all their time pursuing money, power, and votes. The somewhat better informed, concerned Union scientist knew that Putin in retreat would be forced into, not deterred from nuclear wasting of Ukraine, but imagined some safer benefit to restricting American counterattack to conventional, never knowing that Putin had also, just a year ago, publicly hair-triggered his ICBM reply. No one interviewed simply focused on this May of 2024 reality. If the American $63 billion reinfusion of frontline supply includes enough tanks, F-16s, and distance artillery to drive Russians even 50 miles back towards Russia, the world ends. No one would then stop 1,000 Russian nuclear bombs on Ukraine, or NATO's insane tank charge on Moscow, or Putin's underground survival of world nuclear death. Think, boys and girls. Don't help Ukraine win. Only for history's worst Pyrrhic victory, not to mention apocalyptic end. Destruction is always insane. Salvation, smart and good. Why don't I close with the suggestion that we learn from business and government thieves and warriors? 10,000 years, peace proposals were all essentially obey God's love, pretty please. But the killers built institutions of military power, weaponeer profit, leader bribery, and monstrous legislature tax theft, twisting formerly democratic power nations' every law to pile weapons and civilian bodies to the moon. I don't have to tell you that their win-loss record against peace queers, outnumbering them 10-1, was about 10,000 long wars to a handful of very short peace treaties. We're going to have to precisely unbuild their every edifice with exactly opposite crafted, enforced laws. Your 69 speeches are shouted from the one mouth in history that demands disarmament by law, army disbanding above true tiny defense of borders, and the end of private gifts to leaders, all made national and international law by a movement that grows until we deny political power to all who attack us and grant it to our saviors only. Commercial Company World War I was designed to last 100 years. Weapons sold, boom wars, forcing endless war. Correction, world-ending war. I'll bet 1 million books decry the horror of war, plus every author's insistence that somebody must end war. I don't know how. Well, I do. Now you do. Let's get it done, you and I, because leaders are 100% corrupted and addicted with 0% of any law stopping them. Most deadly rules booming them. Now I'm going to take a break from beating on you to consult with a lot of lawyers, publicity geniuses, treaty and constitutional law experts, CO2 scrubber factory technicians, and new water supply and distribution brains. Now I'm done, you've begun. I love you, you love us all.